I've been a faithful Catholic my entire life, and I've noticed 10 disturbing practices that Catholics do all the time that greatly offend our Lord. The first thing that Catholics do is preventing others' conversions by our intellectual pride. As Catholics, we have a wealth of history, literature, and teachings in the faith, but instead of using all of this beauty to convince others to join the church, many Catholics will use their expertise to demean and criticize others. Weaponizing the beautiful teachings of the faith to gain clout or fame not only drives others away, but separates you from the very church you think you're defending. It's disgraceful, embarrassing, and needs to stop. The second thing that I've noticed Catholics doing that our Lord hates is using the Sacrament of Confession as a license to sin. Christ gave us such a generous gift in giving us the Sacrament of Reconciliation, but many Catholics don't take advantage of this and walk around with their sins unconfessed. And while this is bad enough, many Catholics will justify grave offenses because they'll just confess them later. Taking something our Lord meant to serve as a great source of mercy for us and using that thing as a license to continue to offend him is like a slap in the face to Jesus and sets a horrible example for how Catholics treat gifts from our Lord. The third thing that I see Catholics doing all the time that our Lord absolutely despises is not respecting our Lord in the Eucharist. And while that's scandal enough, this actually has a secondary consequence that nobody is talking about. As Catholics, it's our duty to safeguard the most precious sacrament of the Eucharist. But tragically, the Church has fallen far short of our responsibility. Our Lord's body is passed around like a cookie. He is handled by unconsecrated hands, even though in the Old Testament, men were struck dead for daring to even touch the seat of our Lord. When a host is accidentally dropped, there is virtually no protocol for preserving those fallen particles, leaving our Lord to be literally trampled upon in our churches. And while this is an absolute sacrilege, what most people don't notice about the consequence of how we treat the Eucharist is it is actually costing us converts. Protestants see how we treat the Eucharist and think that we're not serious in our claim that this little circle of bread is actually God. The way we treat the Eucharist today is not only a horrible offense against our Lord, but is also a great scandal to see how Jesus Christ, who made himself our food, is treated in the Catholic Church. The fourth practice that happens in the Catholic Church that God hates is priests not taking their role as shepherd seriously. It is incredibly upsetting and disappointing to see how many priests either don't realize or don't care about the tone that they set for their parishioners. How am I supposed to take my faith seriously when you're cracking jokes in the middle of the liturgy? When your homilies are filled with more quotes by celebrities than saints? When you walk around in lay clothes and abandon your collar at the drop of a hat? To be called to the priesthood is an incredible, exalted vocation. But by the looks of it, many seem to view it as more of a status symbol than a divine calling. The fifth thing that I've noticed that our Lord hates that Catholics do is neglecting regular penances and fasting. Fasting is championed in the Bible as a way of making our prayers more powerful. Jesus did it, Elijah did it, whole nations did it. But I can count on one hand the number of Catholics that take this recommendation seriously. Most Catholics are content to just fast on the 2 days a year that it is required, but they are missing out on a vast number of graces that come from frequent mortification. Catholics need to shake off our comfortable, cushy lives and actually show our Lord that we are serious about our relationship with him. If you've made it this far in the video and you're enjoying, why not hit that subscribe button down there? On this channel, I explain the teachings of the faith in a really clear and concise way in an effort to refute all of the misconceptions that I hear about the faith living down here in the Bible Belt. So if you'd like to know the truth and the beauty that is Catholicism, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and make sure you turn on the notification bell so that you're alerted about all my future videos. The sixth practice that Christ hates is when Catholics neglect to educate ourselves on the faith. Now, cradle Catholics commit this offense a lot because a lot of us think that because we've been Catholic our entire life, we know everything there is to know about the faith. And I'm right there with you. In high school, it was so easy and effortless to study the faith. But during and after college, it's so much harder not only to find the time to study, but the energy. And while it is so much easier to pick up your phone and scroll than it is to pick up a book by the Church Fathers, it is our duty to continue to educate ourselves in the faith no matter how long we've been Catholic. The seventh practice that Catholics do that is very upsetting to Jesus is not taking chastity seriously, and I'm not just talking about unmarried people. Catholic dating couples think they're fine as long as they're not intimate, and married couples think that they're okay as long as they're open to life, but both of those are lies. Arousing your partner at all when you do not intend on being intimate with them is lying to them with your body. And every single marital act of a married couple must be chaste, not just intimacy. This is something that more Catholics need to be talking about. And if you struggle with this, I highly recommend Christopher West and the Theology of the Body. They are amazing, and I've linked both of them below. The eighth practice that Catholics need to stop right now is listening to music or watching movies that disrespect the church or blaspheme our Lord. I cannot tell you how many Catholics have said that Game of Thrones is their favorite TV show, or have artists like Katy Perry playing in their Spotify playlist. Why, as children of God, would we want images and lyrics like those just in our memory for the devil to bring up whenever he feels like it? There is a reason that we say the church is in the world but not of it. We are meant to stand out, which, yes, does not always feel comfortable. You don't have to be annoying or preachy about it, but just listening to lyrics or watching things that offend our Lord or that go against the Catholic Church just because you're afraid of suggesting something else to watch or listen to is a missed opportunity to evangelize and to encourage others to make other media choices. The ninth thing that offends our Lord is how Catholics dress, especially to Mass. Yes, the lines of modesty are somewhat vague, but you'd think that as Catholics there are some boundaries that we can all agree on. Evidently, it doesn't appear so. The variety of skimpy clothing worn by Catholics in general, but especially to Mass, is shocking and never ceases to amaze me. Sunday best now seems to be Sunday worst. And what I don't understand is why Catholics don't seem to think it's important to dress appropriately to go to Mass. Most Catholics would dress better to see the President in the White House than our Lord in the Eucharist. The 10th thing that Catholics do and need to stop is not keeping Sunday a day of rest. Believe it or not, there's more to keeping holy the Sabbath than just going to church on Sunday. In Genesis chapter 2, verse 3, it says that God blessed the seventh day and made it holy, because on it he rested from all the work of creating that he had done. But how many Catholics do you see following God's example and resting on Sunday? How many men do we see mowing their lawns after church? Or women using Sunday to make their weekly grocery run? I have lost count of the number of Sunday reset videos that I've seen on YouTube where the creator does nothing but work all day, which is literally the opposite of how the Lord intended for us to be spending our Sunday. Now, if you're guilty of any of these 10 things, I can tell you I'm right there with you. I do struggle with a lot of these. But I have some good news for you. There is a solution. If you struggle with pride, the litany of humility is a godsend. It's tough, but it's worth it. If you struggle to remain chaste, the Blessed Virgin Mary and St. Thomas Aquinas are my go-to intercessors. Also, having a partner that's on board with your pursuit of chastity is also pretty essential. Start trying to receive our Lord in the Eucharist properly dressed, kneeling, and on the tongue, and try to implement a weekly penance on Friday. Pick a good Catholic book and put it on your nightstand, and purge your Hulu and Spotify account of any ungodly movies or music. And if you struggle with stopping work on Sunday, I highly recommend The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry. It's a great book for helping you keep the Lord's Day a day of worship and a day of rest. As Catholics, we have the fullness of truth, so let's start acting like it.